Hello and welcome to Little Likac. Welcome to my podcast. My name is Amanda and this is my YouTube channel and it is episode 42 of our podcast. So yes, my name's Amanda, I live in Derby in the UK and this should be a relatively normal podcast, I hope. The last few weeks have been really busy. Last week I put up a bonus episode for Advent patterns. Today will be a standard kind of knitting and crochet podcast. So yes, you are very welcome. If you are a new subscriber, then come on in and join in with the fun. And if you are a regular viewer, thank you so much for being a regular viewer and sticking to the channel and subscribing, etc. I am recording today in my usual place, but I've got the camera at a slightly different angle, which I'm hoping is going to work. Let me know what you think, if you think it's a better angle, if it makes no difference to you, whatever. And I'm really going to try and focus today on actually looking at the camera because I am terrible for looking at myself while I'm talking, which gives you a kind of a slightly weird view because it always looks like I'm looking somewhere else. So I'm going to really try and concentrate to look at the camera today. So what have I got for you today? Well, I haven't really got much in the way of finished objects. In fact, I've got no complete finished objects. I've got two half finished objects. You'll know what that is. If you are a regular viewer, they're going to be socks, aren't they? I've got two half finished objects. I have got lots of works in progress and maybe some new cast ons, and I've also got quite a lot of acquisitions to show you as well. Because it's been about 4 weeks since I've done a regular podcast, so there's quite a lot to show you and to talk about. So one finished object though that that I haven't got to show you but I can put a picture of was the theatre vest, and those of you that followed me through Vlogtober, you will know that I was working on that theatre vest very fiercely through October and had to have it finished by second week of November, I think it was. And I got it finished and it was for a performance for Derby Theatre, their Christmas production or winter production of Wind in the Willows, which is currently showing at Derby Theatre. And what was really lovely was I got an invitation to the press night, which was this week, and so my husband and I went to see the production. In theory, to see the vest being worn. However, because it is for one of the young company, so it's actually for one of the children, they were knitted to fit those specific children, and that child wasn't performing that evening because when children perform in professional productions like that, they can't perform every day, obviously, because they have school and because of their age, so they have teams of children. And the child that would be wearing my knitted vest wasn't performing that night, so I didn't actually get to see it in production. Never mind. But we did get free tickets and it was a really enjoyable show. Very much aimed at kids, but it was good fun. Although I say kids, it was aimed at families, you know, it was good fun. So yes, been to see that, and obviously the vest got finished in time. Hooray! And I've got leftover yarn from it. And all in all, it was a good experience. So, half-finished objects, I'm going to show... Right, so the first one I'm going to show you is a sock that I've been working on probably all year because it was one of the socks that, it was a project that I kept in my car, and up until June this year, I was still ferrying my youngest daughter around to various places when she needed to, but then so I would sometimes be sitting waiting for her to come out of the dance studios or taekwondo or wherever else, or off the college bus, and so I'd be sitting knitting in the car as and when I needed to. But in June she passed her driving test and had her own car, so the last 6 months I haven't needed to ferry her around, and so actually this project has had very little time to get worked on, so I've brought it into the house because it is a Christmas present for my mum, and it's a pair of socks that I'm knitting for her. So I was really excited that I finally got one finished, and I would put it on a sock blocker, but there's a reason why I can't put it on a sock blocker. So this is knitted in Wendy Happy, which is a bamboo and nylon yarn because my mum is allergic to wool, and you can see it's sort of striped up. It pulls a bit there but then stripes quite well. However, can you see the problem? I knitted the toe in the wrong place. So the toe should go that way, and I've knitted it that way. And I even kitchenered, grafted the toe end together before I realised. So I've got to unpick all of that. So this is what happens when you're not totally focused. Well, I guess I was rushing. I was like, oh, okay, get the toe decreases done and I can get that off. And, you know, that's one sock completed. Yeah. So that's not one sock completed. That's one sock I've got to rip back and redo. And to be honest, I'm not loving it at the moment. And I'm not sure how much my mum's bothered about having knitted socks. So don't know whether that is going to get done before Christmas or not. Because I did find out that what she did want is a pair of knitted fingerless gloves. And when she said fingerless gloves, she actually means gloves that have got fingers on them, not just like mitten, not just kind of like wrapped round. She actually wants the individual glove part. And so she, what was I going to say? Yeah, so she told my daughter that she wanted a pair of those. And they're actually quite fiddly to find. Well, one, quite difficult to find patterns for. There aren't as many patterns for actual gloves with fingers. But I have found a pattern. And the other problem is my mum is allergic to wool. So hence the reason I used the Wendy Happy for those socks. So I was trying to decide, well, I needed to decide on the pattern anyway, then I would know which weight yarn I would need, etc. But then Rowan had a sale, 50% off some of their yarns, and I was looking on their page, on their website, and they do a beautiful, absolutely beautiful 100% cashmere yarn. And I thought, oh, cashmere is not normal wool, it's different, it's everybody, you know, it's so much softer. It's real luxury. So I thought, if I'm going to knit my mum a pair of nice gloves, I'd like them to be in a really nice yarn. So, and I had a look, and they had got this cashmere at 50% off. And my mum likes red, so I ordered 2 skeins of this beautiful 100% cashmere in this beautiful red. It hasn't arrived yet. And I thought, I'm going to knit those for my mum. Or, you know, I'm going to knit gloves for my mum in this beautiful cashmere, so they're a real luxury present. Anyway, a couple of days later, I thought I'll message mum and just check, does she know if she can wear cashmere? So I decided to message her because I thought I don't want to spend ages knitting these and then it turns out she can't wear them. Although I was then thinking, but what will I do with that yarn if she can't, because I don't wear red. So I messaged her and said, Mum, can you wear cashmere, or do you know if you can wear cashmere? And she messaged me back saying, no, I'm allergic to all types of wool and it's just getting worse as I'm getting older. I was like, bother. So, not that it has arrived yet, I have got 2 skeins of 100% beautiful cashmere wool arriving any day, might turn up today. And I have no idea what I'm going to knit with it, or who I'm going to knit it. So, anyway, never mind. I mean, it was still quite pricey, even at half price, especially as I got 2 skeins of it. Never mind. But it's what I did cast on, so I just went back to my stash and I had still got some more of the Wendy Happy in a different colour. So Wendy Happy, they don't do it anymore, so this has been in my stash quite a long time. It is 4-ply, and as I say, it is bamboo and nylon. Let me just see if I can see. Yeah, 75% bamboo, 25% nylon. And this one is the colour Aquarius. That is showing it really well. So I am knitting her a pair of fingerless gloves. I've only cast it on last night. I'm hoping I will get these done in the time she's coming up for Christmas, so I haven't got to post them to her, as long as I get them done before Christmas Eve. So really pretty. I'm knitting these on 2.5mm needles. My mum has quite big hands. The pattern I'm knitting only has one size, And it says to use 2.5mm needles. Now normally I go down to 2.25mm for socks and things because of my gauge. So I'm thinking actually if I knit them in 2.5mm needles, hopefully they will be big enough for her. The pattern is called Fingerless or Knot Gloves, and they're by Paula McKeever. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, so it does give you a warning that they haven't been tested. I can see in the comment section on Ravelry a couple of people have put a few maybe sort of like corrections and things, so I'll just keep an eye on those. But yeah, I'm hoping I will get those done for her before Christmas Day. Do you know what? If not, if I'm still working on them on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day in front of my mum, it won't matter. If I can get them finished before she goes, probably on Boxing Day. But yeah, so I'm going to try and get those finished for her for a Christmas present. So yeah, the socks I will put to one side. Maybe they will get done, maybe they won't. I don't think they'll get done before Christmas. But I've got a lot of works in progress that I want to work on. I think January is going to be a whip month for me. Okay, so that's one new cast on, and so I only cast those on last night. Aim is to get those done for Christmas. Another whip though that I have been working on is the Cablemagiria blanket. And I honestly cannot remember what I showed you or didn't show you in the last podcast, because I didn't even put any notes in the down below on YouTube, because I think I was just so busy and everything was just so rushed at that time that I didn't even put any show notes down in the description box, which is terrible. Which also means I can't tell you what I showed you and what I didn't show you last time. I'd have to watch the whole podcast back. So the Cablemagiria blanket is a knit along run by Stylecraft. I was keeping up with it, then I was doing the show vest, and so I got behind. Then I started to try and catch up, but then with other Christmas knitting, I've decided to kind of put this on hold, because this does not need to be completed before Christmas, and other things do need completed before Christmas. So the Cablemagiria blanket, I had already completed these strips, and you may have seen these. So there's 2 strips like this, and then you won't have seen this. This is 2 more strips that I've completed. Look at this. And I'll tell you all about the yarn in a minute. So there are 2 strips like this that are completed. So that is part 1 and part 2 done. I decided to completely skip part 3 for now, because that was the one that I didn't work on when, at the proper time. So I thought I'll just go straight on to part 4. And this is part 4. It's a much thinner strip, so I thought, oh yeah, I'll get through this quite quickly. But then, as I say, I then thought, what's the point of rushing through this? It doesn't need doing before Christmas. There are other projects that do need doing. So this was part 4, or the first part, or the first little bit. Obviously you need to do 2 of these, and they need to be the same length. I will just put the stitch marker or the progress keeper up so that, oh, I need to put a progress keeper on my mum's gloves as well. But honestly, I don't think this is going to get looked at again now until after Christmas. So the yarn is Stylecraft Highland Heathers in Aran, and the colour for this one is Stuart Red. They've all got quite nice Scottish names actually, because it's the Highland Heathers. So this is going to, so this is going to stay down here in this bag, I think, and just get left now until all the Christmas projects are done. Because obviously my mum's gloves need doing. I've got a pair of socks that I'm about to show you that need finishing for Christmas, and I've also got Bryony's gift, which I'm going to show you as well. So I've got 3 gifts on the go for Christmas that have got to be finished before Christmas. And in fact, Bryony's, which I guess I'll show you next. Oh, hang on, didn't put that back in. Needs to be done really in the next couple of weeks so that I can post it, so that she's got it in time for Christmas. And if you live in the UK, you'll know that we've got quite a lot of postal strikes at the moment, so getting stuff sent in time to get to places for Christmas everybody needs to get things sent a bit earlier. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is another half-finished object that I have got done. This is another Christmas gift. How pretty do they look? So this is a pair of socks for my daughter Eloise. You can see I've done them with quite a long leg because she likes to wear Doc Marten boots, and so this is a pair for her. That got a nice long leg for her so she can wear them under her boots, and maybe, I don't know, maybe this bit might even you might even be able to see those, see the ribbing outside her boot. So I'm knitting this with a yarn that I bought quite recently. So I did show this on the podcast quite recently. It is the Stylecraft Head Over Heels Show Your Pride colourway, and it knits up absolutely beautifully. Rainbow stripes, it's just so much fun, and these are coming on really, really well. I've got the second one started, and in fact I've nearly done the leg of the second one. You can see, where have I got up to? Yeah, I'm up to here, so I'm nearly at the heel. So yeah, I've knitted down to here on the second sock. I'm having to work on these quite quickly because Eloise will be home from university in about 10 days time. In fact, she's home this weekend. I have tried to sneakily knit on them a little bit while she's been here. But obviously I want to get them finished then and wrapped up out of the way before she comes home properly. So she's home for this weekend, then she's going back tomorrow, and then we'll be back again in about 10 days time. But I'll have these finished very soon because they're a joy to knit, if I'm honest. They are really good. I love striping yarn, self-striping yarn, because it just always feels like it's knitting up more quickly. I'll just put a progress keeper on there. It always feels like they're knitting up quickly because you always say, oh, I'll just do one more stripe, oh, I'll just get through this next couple of stripes, and I just find it so motivating. And with it being just stocking stitch, this is just a vanilla sock. You know, it's just mindless TV knitting. Doesn't matter if I'm tired, I can just, you just have to be careful if you're tired that you just don't make silly mistakes like I did with my mum's sock. So yeah, I absolutely love this. We'll just take this off the blocker now so I can hide it away so that she doesn't see it. So yeah, it's my daughter. So that's a Christmas project that has to be completed, and it is in a Christmassy bag. I can't remember, I think probably from Amelia X Joy. So it's in a Christmassy bag. Might transfer that one into a Christmas bag as well if I'm, well, who knows. Okay, no, I'll transfer this one into a Christmas bag. It's all a bit mixed up today, isn't it? Because I was going to show you this in acquisitions. So this is a lovely Christmas bag from Amelia X Joy on Etsy. I actually bought a bag like this last year that I gave away as a prize in Christmas in July. I ended up buying the same bag again. I think it's the bigger size though, because I just love this fabric with the Christmas sheep. It's so cute. So I'm actually going to transfer my mum's Christmas gloves into that project bag. So it's in a Christmas project bag. It's quite a big bag, that one actually. It's bigger than just like a sock bag. But so I'm going to transfer that into there. So those two Christmas presents that definitely need to be worked on, they are going back up to the house. Put them down there, so they definitely go back up to the house. Okay, right, what else needs completing before Christmas? Bryony's present. So Bryony is my niece's daughter. I always refuse to say great niece because that makes me sound very old. Bryony is my niece's daughter, and she lives down in Devon, and I love knitting for her, partly because, well, Bryony herself appreciates them, I know she does, and Bryony's mum, my niece, is a knitter as well, so she really appreciates them as well. So it gives me a lot of pleasure to knit for Bryony. And she's such a sweet little girl, she really is. So I started knitting this in the summer for her. You may remember this book, and it is Knitted Animal Friends by Louise Crowther. And I am knitting this gorgeous Louis the Owl, or Louis the Owl. Now the owl itself is all knitted but still not put together. So that is a job really that I must work on, is actually seaming the pieces and stuffing it. But I have been knitting all the little garments for him as well. So, hang on. I have started sewing up, but not stuffing, so I've really got to get the stuffing out of the garage and just crack on. Because to be fair, it's not that big a deal to do it. I'm just putting it off. Procrastinating. So here's his body, Louis the Owl's body, and I've sewn up quite neatly. I'm quite impressed with myself actually, quite neatly, the back. I've used mattress stitch, so I need to stuff his body. I just need to get the stuffing out the garage and crack on with it. Just always feels there's so many other things to do. But and knitting itself is quite mindless, isn't it? But then stuffing and sewing takes a bit more concentration. But his garments are coming along. He has got a jumper somewhere. Where's his jumper? He has got a jumper that does need some little buttons attaching, and he's almost got a duffel coat. Almost. There's the hood of the duffel coat. The hood is done. One sleeve is done. The back of it is done. The toggles are attached. So all that he needs on the duffel coat is the other sleeve and the other parts of the toggles. So he's got a jumper and a duffel coat. He needs trousers, and I would also like to do the shoes. So if I crack on with the trousers, because he's got to have some trousers. If the shoes don't get done, it's not the end of the world. So garments wise, he needs his trousers, he needs sewing together, and then if possible the shoes as well. So what I am using the correct yarn for the actual owl itself is knitted in Scheepies or Scheepies Stonewashed, which is a really soft cotton. Cotton or cotton acrylic? Cotton acrylic. 78% cotton, 22% acrylic. Really soft. So the owl itself is knitted in that. And then I've been using 100% cotton. I've been using a mixture of the Scheepies Katona, which again is the correct yarn, but also I couldn't get the right yellow for the duffel coat in that, so I've also been using this yarn and colours must have. I can't think where I got that from. Oh, there's his, his beak. So I've got all these little bits. Anyway, so that must be finished in the next 2 weeks, so I get it posted down to Bryony. And honestly, when I think about it, it really isn't that much work, is it? So I just, because it's small fiddly bits, I keep putting it off, and really I need to get cracking on it. Trouble is, I kind of want to wait till the weekends to do fiddly things, and then the weekends are so busy. So today is Saturday. I didn't say the date, did I? It is Saturday the 3rd of December. This afternoon we're doing some Christmas shopping. We're going to a nice Christmas market and then going out to lunch with Eloise while she's home. And then this afternoon when we get back from that, we're going to put up one of the Christmas trees. We have 2 Christmas trees in our house. We're going to put up one of the Christmas trees this afternoon. Tomorrow I need to do some dyeing, but to be fair, that's not going to take all day. So, and actually this evening I could get the second sleeve. Right, I'm going to aim to finish the duffel coat this evening because I can do the second sleeve and the I-cords on there quite easily. So that's the focus, and maybe get the stuffing in and start sewing and stuffing. Right, so Bryony's present must get worked on. What else am I working on? Advent. So it is the 3rd of December, which means I have opened up 3 days worth of Advent calendars. And I'm going to show you the yarns firstly from the one that Nancy, my lovely friend Nancy in America, made especially for me. She has dyed me an Advent calendar specifically for me, which is just so lovely. Thank you so much, Nancy, for the effort and the work you put into this. It's adorable. Because she's dyed it on the theme of Winnie the Pooh. Because she said, I'm sure I heard you say you like Winnie the Pooh. And I'm like, you're right, I do like Winnie the Pooh. And I couldn't work out where or when in the podcast though I'd mentioned it. And then I suddenly remembered this time last year my daughter had to go into hospital for an operation, and I was staying in hospital with her, and we went and bought matching pyjamas before that operation, and that was Winnie the Pooh. And I think that is when I mentioned about the fact that I do love Winnie the Pooh. Not that it's a secret or anything, I just couldn't think of when I would have mentioned it on the podcast. And I then kind of like the anniversary came up of that operation, and I suddenly it all kind of clicked, and I remembered that I had mentioned the Winnie the Pooh pyjamas, or the matching pyjamas, on the podcast. So anyway, yes, and Nancy, thank you so much. This is what I've got so far. This was the first day, and this one is Christopher Robin. And also she wrote this lovely little message on the first one. So this is Christopher Robin, and it's 10 gram minis. So I need to have a think about what I'm going to make with this. I mentioned last week that I was probably going to wait till I'd got them all before I decided. So it says, it all started with Christopher Robin and his toys, so I thought that was a good place to start too. The books were written with love, just like this Advent calendar was dyed with love. So how lovely is that? So this is Christopher Robin, lovely variegated greens and yellows. Then day 2 was this one. It's got kind of like an olivey green, and it is the spotted or herbaceous Baxen. And I was like, Baxen, spotted or herbaceous Baxen, because I do love the Winnie the Pooh books, but I could not work out what that was a reference to. So of course I looked it up, and it was one of those ones where Christopher Robin had written, because Christopher Robin and Owl are the only people the only characters in Winnie the Pooh who can write. But because Christopher Robin is a child, he doesn't always spell everything correctly. And Owl, because he's an owl, as wise as he thinks he is, he doesn't always spell things correctly. And so Christopher Robin had left a sign that should have said back soon, but it spelt it incorrectly and spelt it as Baxen. And so they asked Owl what it said, and then they ask Owl, what's the Baxen, what does it mean? And Owl, pretending to be wise, makes up a load of rubbish and says it's a type of plant, the spotted or herbaceous Baxen. So that's what that one represents. I love it. And that's that kind of thing that I love about Winnie the Pooh, because children probably wouldn't understand that joke, or little children wouldn't understand that joke, but as an adult it's really funny, because we know it's just nonsense. Okay, and then day 3 I opened today is Honey Pot, because Winnie the Pooh does love his honey. So that is a lovely brown. So these are the 3 together so far. So yes, thank you so much, Nancy. I'm really enjoying opening these. I'm really enjoying the little labels and thinking about them. So no decision on what's going to be knitted. Now I also know that there was a project bag that she's with that Advent as well, but that's day 25, so I've not opened it yet. So instead I bought this lovely Christmas project bag a few weeks ago anyway. This is by Made in Ambah. I can't think what the lady's name is now. She's lovely, but she's in Falmouth in Cornwall, and this is a gorgeous project bag. Oh, and yes, she sent me a little freebie with it as well. She sent me a yarn cozy, which is great actually, because I need a yarn cozy. What am I going to put that in with? I think I will put that in with my mum's socks, gloves. So I'll sort those later. So I'm going to put my Winnie the Pooh Advent minis into this bag for now, and then when I get to day 25 and I get to open the project bag, they'll probably get transferred into that. But for now, they're going into here. And I'm just going to keep thinking about what I'm going to knit with them. 10 gram minis. Obviously, I did a whole thing last week about Advent sets. And I think some of the 10 gram mini patterns included cows. But I don't know. Don't know yet what I'm going to do with those. But we shall see. And then the other Advent that I am knitting with, or that I am opening each day on Advent, is my own, the Little Likac one. Because I think I confessed that last year I didn't even keep one for myself. This year I have. And the Nutcracker Advent set, I'm going to be honest, is completely all about colours that I love. So I love Nutcracker anyway. And so it is very much yarn, colourways or colours that I love. And I kept the sparkly one for myself. So it was available in sparkly or standard, 85-15 or the sparkly one. And I've got the sparkly one. And so, and I've already started knitting. I am knitting on this every day through Advent. And so the first yarn was this colour, which is a very, very sort of almost lilac-y pink. And that one was Clara. And then the second day was a more reddy pink, and that is Fritz, which is Clara's brother. So those are the first two colours that have gone into my Wrap It Real Good wrap, which is designed by Ambah O'Brien, because I've decided that's what I'm going to do. Now that is actually designed for DK, or you can hold fingering weight double, which is what I'm doing. And it's knitted on 5mm needles. And I'm hoping it is going to, because at the moment it's not as wide as I thought it was going to. I suppose it is quite wide for a wrap actually, it'll be fine. And it will block. So those are the first 2 days. And even though I absolutely knew that these two colours were different from when I had dyed it and laid it all out, even I, when I took out the second one, was kind of going, is it? How different is that? And when I started knitting the first couple of rows, I was like, does that actually look that different? But you can see, yes, it's. I suddenly doubted myself. And yet when I had dyed all the 24 and I'd got them all laid out, I knew, I absolutely could see how they were different. But even I was kind of like, oh, how different is that? But you can actually see there is a difference. So can you see the sparkle? Because when I've tried to take pictures, you just can't see the sparkle on the pictures, which is so sad. And day 3, I have already opened. Day 3 are the ballerina dolls, and we are going into a darker pink again. So you can see when that goes in, it will be another shade as well. And this one has got some very light speckles in as well. So it's got more variation and some speckles. It's also got, I think it's got some it's got some pinks and blue speckles. So we are getting a greater variety as we go onto that one. It's taking me about an hour to knit the section, which is fine. I can absolutely commit to an hour a day. I say that, what night is it? Tuesday night this week. I am out for a Christmas meal, but with a knitting group, so if need be I can take my knitting with me. And then Wednesday night I'm staying late at school because I'm going to be watching our school production of Oliver, which I'm really looking forward to because our school productions are amazing. So I'm going to be, so probably Wednesday night, Wednesday's Advent won't get knitted in, and I'll have to do 2 on Thursday, I expect. But I am already loving this. I'm thinking this is going to make the most gorgeous wrap. And because, as I say, I'm holding it double, it is quicker to knit. And the pattern isn't leaving very much either. I've only got, from the second day, I've got this much left. Obviously, as 2 little balls, so they'll probably go into my back. I'm going to look to see. There may be enough there to go into the granny stripe blanket, but the problem is I bet it won't be enough to do a complete stripe with that and a complete stripe with that, unless I magic knot it maybe. or it might go into the Battenberg blanket. So, I haven't actually weighed. So I'm going to put Progress Keeper on here. So next week you'll be able to see, because I'm planning on doing a podcast every week through December. Not doing Vlogmas, because that is too much to do every day. But I am going to do a podcast every week. Ooh. So there we go. I don't know why I've put that stitch marker on actually when my Advent has come with... Oh, they're not in there. Ah, hang on. Have we got... There we are. Today's as well came with a ballet shoe Progress Keeper. So that's what I'm going to put on instead of that. I'll put that in. Oops. I'll put that in there. Must use Progress Keepers. In fact, I've got a cute Christmas Progress Keeper or stitch marker anyway. There. Let's try and use some of the Christmassy ones before the end of Christmas. Okay, so let me take this little ballet. So the Advent calendar actually also came with a little bracelet. So on the first day you got a little bracelet with a snowflake Progress Keeper, but that you can, or charm, so you can either clip it on to your bracelet, or you can clip it on to your knitting. See squirrels out there. So, perfect little Progress Keeper. That is the Wrap It Real Good pattern by Ambah O'Brien, and I shall be working on that this evening, getting my third colour into it. Alright, so then we move on to a few more acquisitions. A couple of weeks ago I went to Manchester for a conference to do with teaching, and it was in Manchester, and I knew then there were a couple of yarn shops or near the train station. So on the way back to the train station I stopped at one called, I think it's pronounced Aran, and I've seen that advertised for years and years and years in knitting magazines, that shop. So I was quite excited to go in, though I'm going to be honest and say it's not the most bougie of shops. The first part I went into, it was all fabric, and the way it was laid out was very, almost a bit like a jumble sale. I'm going to be honest and say from a point of view of aesthetics, it's not the most beautiful shop, but they had got lots of lovely fabric. Of course I went into the knitting section, and again it was a little bit disappointing. I wanted to buy some DPNs, and they didn't even have DPNs, or not certainly sock size DPNs, which surprised me. They did have a lot of yarn, mostly fairly standard big name brands, Serdar, King Cole, I think, stuff like that. But I bought some crochet cotton for a Christmas present for somebody, as I was queuing, and some crochet hooks for, but as I was queuing up to pay, in their clearance section they had 50% off Serdar #1, which is I think it's just 100% acrylic, no, 50% acrylic, 50% nylon. It's a really soft yarn, and I just love the colour. And at 50%, at full price, it's probably quite expensive, but at 50% off, it was really reasonable. And I think about £3 a ball, and it's 100 grams double knit, and you've got 230 metres in 100 grams. So I ended up buying a lot because I thought I wanted enough to make a jumper or a cardigan, and I thought this colour is just beautiful. So Now I am worrying because quite clearly I have not going to have the same dye lot here, because I've just seen that is in that and that is in that, and I do you know what I'm annoyed about is that they didn't point that out to me when I bought it. So it is the same shade, but it is not the same dye lot, and I did not see that when I bought it. I can't, because that is really annoying. So what have I got? I reckon I've got about half and half. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I've got 5 in that. Is that going to be enough to knit me a jumper? Probably not. That is so annoying. I've got 5 in that and 3 in that. That is so annoying. Well, what I could do is the classic. I mean, honestly, I can't see any difference, but you know what it's like once you start knitting, so I may have to knit with alternate. I might do that, you know, like knit 2 rows with that, 2 rows with that. That's so annoying. They really, because I bought that in person, they really should have pointed that out to me. They should have checked as I was buying it and said, did you realise you got 2 different dye lots there? But there we go. Can't believe I didn't notice it, because they're even completely different ball bands, aren't they? Anyway, so I've got 8 balls of that, but potentially only 5 that are going to be usable in one. I'll work it out. I think what I'll do is I will knit a swatch with the 2 different shades, with the 2 different dye lots, and see if we can see any difference in daylight. That is what I will do. I will actually knit a gauge swatch and see. I'm so disappointed because I was so excited that it's such a pretty colour, and now I'm like, I've got 2 different dye lots. Alright, and then more acquisitions. I had we had a Christmas meal for one of my knitting groups last week before last, and as part of that we did a secret Santa where everybody took 100 grams of fingering weight 4-ply yarn, preferably hand dyed, but we didn't say it had to be hand dyed, and you wrapped it up and then put it into a big pile, and then after the meal we did a quiz, and then the team who won the quiz, they got first choice to pull out from the secret Santa. And so yeah, so you just took, you had no idea what you were taking anyway, it was just based on, and I was, our team came 3rd out of the 4 teams, I think. Well, there might have been 4 or 5 teams, and I think our team came 3rd. So by the time we went up, a lot of it had already been taken. And this was there, and I did look and think, that looks quite big for 100 grams. Maybe, well, obviously there's something else in it, but nobody else had taken it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take this and see. And Cuddlebums is a yarn dyer who I love. Now, it isn't Cuddlebums yarn in here, actually. It's just, that's what it was put in. And, oh, hang on, there's other bits. So I pulled out first, not 1, but 2 100 grams of Rosie's Moments, actually, who is a dyer that I know. And I don't know whether this has got, it needs a wash, I'm going to be honest, it does need a wash, I think. So this is Rosie's Moments, and sorry, just checking, I've got a message come through, just seeing if there's a colour. The colour is Glow, and it needs, so this was obviously out of somebody's stash, which is fine, that's what we said we would do. You didn't have to buy something specifically, you could just, and it is really pretty pink, as you can tell, with some undyed patches as well. The reason I say these wash is because this part feels very stiff, and I just wonder whether, when it's been in somebody's stash, whether, I can't work it out because it's the undyed stuff that feels really stiff. But anyway, I just don't know if it's had something spilt on it or something. Rosie's Moments, you always get a lavender bag attached, but there's 2 100 gram skeins. And then as if that, I couldn't believe it. I mean, in fact, I almost felt bad about the fact that I'd picked this one up because it got so much in it. And then I wondered if that's why other people hadn't picked it up. So because there was also a mini skein set in there. How gorgeous is that? And I'm actually thinking potentially that could be used as part of a litmus cowl set. So this is from Devon Sun Yarns, and it's from a club. So Colour Lovers set, and I'm sure I saw something, yeah, from the Colour Lovers Club, July 2017. No idea about Devon Sun Yarns, never heard of them before, but lovely, lovely colours there. Although they are sort of like gradient. If you excuse the crinkling, I will just take one out. So you can see you've got this bright green going down into this sort of kind of olive green, and all of them, even the pink goes from that pink into that same olive. So yeah, I'm not sure how well that would work for the litmus cowl or not, I don't know, but anyway, absolutely beautiful. Definitely got to do something, use them as a set for something. Oh, and then there were a couple of buttons as well, I think. So yeah, I got, like I say, I almost felt guilty that I took this one because I got 300 grams a yard. But there we go. So thank you very much to whoever donated that to the Secret Santa, because I feel like I did very well there. And also at that same Christmas meal, one of the other ladies, she was having a de-stash, so she just brought a bin bag worth of yarn in her car, and so we went, after the meal, we went out to the roadside where her car was parked. We must have looked so dodgy, apart from we were all middle-aged women, and we were just like all surrounding this bin bag and using our cameras, our phones for torches to look at the colours. And I got from her de-stash, she was just giving it away, this beautiful mulberry silk. There is no brand on this, it just says silk lace, colour Black Lily, but I've no idea who it was dyed by or anything, and I've no idea what I'm going to do with it, and I really don't need more lace weight, but I loved the colour. And likewise, this is Manos lace, baby alpaca, silk and cashmere, and again 50 grams I think, yeah, of lace weight in this. And I don't need more lace weight, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but how could I resist it? It's so pretty. And if we all knew what we were going to do with the yarn that we bought, we probably wouldn't buy anywhere near as much yarn, would we? So that is it for today. So I told you there was going to be a lot to show you. Hopefully by next week there will be a couple of finished projects to show you. Yes, hopefully by next week the rainbow socks will be completed, and Louis the owl, either the owl will all be completed and sewn together, or all his clothes will be, one or the other. So hopefully I will have finished objects to show you next week. As I say, the plan is to podcast every week in December, so I hope that's okay with you. Come and join me each week and we'll see how I'm getting on with my Christmas knitting, my Advent knitting. Oh, talking of Advent knitting as well, Helen Stuart is doing a 25% off all her patterns at the moment, not just Advent patterns. And I had said in my Advent review last week that I thought she would be releasing the Knitvent 2022 patterns singly after Christmas. No, they've already been released, and you can get 25% off of those singly as well. So I have bought the Anthology Throw pattern, because that's 25% off that at the moment, and she's running that through till I think the 11th of December. So, and also, as I said before about the Ambah O'Brien patterns, she's doing 25% off any of her Advent patterns, so check her out as well. So that is it from me. I'm having a quick look round. To be honest, if there's anything I missed, I'll tell you about it next week. Thank you for joining me, thank you so much. Yeah. I hate the goodbye bit at the end, because I always think, is there anything else I need to tell you about? Anything else can wait till next week, can't it? So thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up, a like if you have enjoyed it, leave a comment, and I will see you next week. Bye for now. Happy knitting. Bye.